To hear Michael and Dr. Umar speak the way is abnormal for men. Normally, men, when I was growing up, they had logical mindset. But today's black man has an illogical mindset because he thinks like a woman. He has not overcome the spirit of the woman and returned to the logical
There is
mindset of the
nothing more
father.
effeminate than a white man defending a white power structure against black people.
They're
There is
illogical
nothing
in
more
their
effeminate
mindset.
than a
If you
black man
notice that,
defending a
why
white
are you
power
speaking, man?
structure
I'm
against
talking.
black people.
Hey, why are you speaking? Hold on.
You are politically
supposed
effeminate,
to be
Jesse Lee Peterson.
logical in their
You
mind,
are politically
and women
effeminate.
are
You
illogical in
are
their mindset,
politically
right?
effeminate.
Yo, this debate is wild. Dr. Umar Johnson steps up with fire and fury, trying to paint Jesse Lee Peterson as the ultimate sellout. But watch closely, because Jesse stays calm, Dr. Umar spirals into emotional rants, proving Peterson's point about weak men. This is a masterclass in how the Matrix flips logic upside down. Here's the setup. Jesse Lee Peterson says there's no such thing as racism, no such thing as sellouts. It's all a spiritual battle of good versus evil. Dr. Umar, he calls Jesse a coon, a sellout, even builds a whole kingdom in his head, ranking black men by how much they agree with white power structures. It's heated, it's messy, but it's revealing. Let's get into it.
Reverend Jesse, you say that there's no such thing as a sellout, but you can admit that the word sellout does exist and that it is used, right?
Yeah, it is used just like the word racism. We all know that there's no such thing as racism. It's a word that made up to deceive the blind. And so when they use the word sellout, it's meant to divide and conquer. But if you're not in a fallen state, meaning that Satan is not your daddy, you can see the game that's being played. Like Dr. Umar just said, he just spoke as a blind man. He has no idea what he's talking about because there's no such thing as slavery syndrome or whatever he said. Our battle is a spiritual battle. It's either right or wrong, good or evil. And in the good old days when boys were boys and men were men, men knew that and they led their wives and children in the right way to go. And they did have a conduct of morality. They treated everyone they would like in the way that they would like to be treated, never mind the color. They taught their children how to work and be responsible and not blame and whine. And they didn't put it out there as though they couldn't make it. Dr. Umar Johnson just made up words.
Reverend Jesse, I don't think we should suggest that one person knows more than the other in a sense of you saying you know it all and anyone else on the panel knows less. That's a little unfair.
Yeah, well, I may not know my flowers, but I know Dr. Umar Johnson is blind and that he's wrong. And he doesn't know God. So he's telling people words, fancy words, in order to deceive them. If you knew that our battle is a battle between good and evil, then you wouldn't make up words in order to deceive. You would tell the truth and hope that those who are blind may wake up and see the right way to go. I grew up on a plantation down in Alabama under the Jim Crow law. And back then, black people—
there were no slaves on that plantation?
Well, yeah, they had, matter of fact, my grandparents' parents ran the plantation, but they weren't slaves when I was growing up. And the point is, black people had a sense of morality then, and they loved what was right. They worked hard. They loved their country. They didn't blame because the men were leading the way.
Hold that thought, Reverend Jesse.
Now the black men saw like women.
Hold that thought, Reverend Jesse. Dr. Umar, go ahead. I don't want him to bring your name up and not allow you to respond.
It's okay. I had been on Reverend Jesse's show before, and they have been trying diligently to have me come back. And one of the reasons I did not return to the show is because I believe that Jesse Lee Peterson knows better. In fact, he would be a textbook definition of a sellout, because he is the type of black man who will bend over backwards to absolve the American white power structure of any responsibility for what happens to black people. And like many sellouts, they always ignore or they try to retreat away from acknowledging the role that systemic racism plays in the life of Black people. Racism is not only about the individual mistreatment of Black people, it is about the systemic mistreatment of Black people. See, racism is a system that all white people participate in to disadvantage all members of another group. So you don't opt in, you don't opt out. And members of the target group don't opt in or opt out. But what they can do, as Jesse Lee Peterson has so effectively done in his career, is they can identify with the power structure. They can identify with white racism, and they can carve out a niche for themselves by defending the racism that is attacking Black people, as opposed to defending Black people against that racism. A Black man in America who does not stand up for his people and in turn aligns himself with the structure that is eating away at the opportunities of Black people can go very far in this country. Senator Tim Scott is an example. Jesse Lee Peterson is an example. And we will continue to create these types of personalities, Sister Tammy, if we don't come up with a code and if the Black community doesn't start holding its members accountable for dysfunctional behavior.
On the surface, Jesse's cool, steady, talking about morality, family values, and men taking responsibility. Dr. Umar is fiery, loud, calling Jesse names like sellout and hypocrite. To the casual viewer, it looks like two men yelling over race and history. But pause. The surface fight is a distraction. Here's the hidden layer. Jesse's isn't really debating race. He's stripping it down to morality. He says racism is made up, just like sellout, to control people. Meanwhile, Dr. Umar is clinging to systemic racism as a root of all problems. Why? Because it protects the victim's narrative that keeps him relevant. Without the system to blame, his whole platform collapses. That's why he attacks Jesse personally, because Jesse refuses to play by the victim script.
There were slaves in America. That is not happening today, and it wasn't happening when I was growing up in Alabama. This idea that slavery is the cause of the lack of morality for Black people is insane. It's just another sign of an illogical mindset. Because when I was growing up, the bathroom was outdoors, outside bathroom. I had to work the cotton fields and things like that. But it was the character of the man or the woman that counted. And when I was growing up, Black people at that time were known to be men and women of character. Today, Black people, not all, but most, are known to be men and women who lack character. The world knows that Black people are suffering not because of this phony idea of racism, slavery, systemic racism, and all that crap. They know that Black people are immoral, that they come from failing parents, and that they hate everybody, and they have no love.
But
everybody
that's not your story,
it,
is it,
but
Reverend?
they're afraid to tell the Blacks.
That's not your story, is it, Reverend Jesse? Is that your story?
No, because I was raised differently. I was raised to treat all in the way that I would like to be treated, to be fair and to be honest, because you're either children of God or children of Satan, and it has nothing to do with the color. And the children of God cannot hang out with the children of Satan because they have their hearts are wicked and they have illogical mindset. The two men that just spoke, it made no sense. But
so I'd like for you to teach me.
They don't have a logic.
Reverend Jesse, I would like for you to teach me for a moment here.
Yes.
Please break me away from tradition and what I've been taught in the white schools that I've attended that suggest that there was this society in America that wouldn't allow white people and Black people to drink from the water fountains. Did the white institutions I attend teach me that wrong, or was that correct? I'm ready to learn from you.
Well, as a matter of fact, when I was growing up, I remember the colors only signs and the whites only signs. But because most Black people loved what was right, they loved God, they knew that all white people did not feel that way. It was primarily the white people who belonged to the Democratic Party, and they didn't want Blacks to be a part of the Democratic Party. And so that's why the Blacks started the Republican Party, because the Blacks. So when we dealt with for Black only signs, for white only, common sense said it wasn't everybody. It was those who serve evil.
But it was majority of the white people. We can agree with that,
No,
right?
it wasn't. It wasn't the majority of black people. It was a few.
I said
black
majority
people.
of the white people.
I'm sorry.
Let's get back on to sellouts. Dr. Umar.
Yes, ma'am. And I would like to respond to
Yes.
him if I may, Sister
And it
Tammy.
wasn't the majority of whites.
Thank you. Go ahead, Dr.
I want to clarify something when we talk about racism. Racism is not an individual personality fault.
It doesn't
of white
exist,
people.
man.
Racism is not about individual personality. Racism is about systemic injustice, systemic bias, systemic disproportionality, systemic discrimination. You do
That's
not opt
dumb.
out of you do not opt out
That
of
is
racism.
dumb.
All white people benefit from and participate in racism. So whether your ancestors owned black people or not is irrelevant. And the reason it is irrelevant, Sister Tammy, is because even if your ancestors didn't own black people, they worked at a job that was created because of the enslavement of black people. So there's no such thing as slavery did not impact my family. Just like in today's America, all white people benefit from the mass incarceration of black people. They benefit from the miseducation of black children. They benefit from the police brutality against black people. So I want to make sure we are clear.
What you're saying
Racism is not about individual white people
But what you're
choosing to
saying
hate
is a
blacks.
lie.
Racism is about the system of racism
That's a
that
lie.
controls opportunities and resources, Sister Tammy. Racism is not about the attitude. It's about the control of resources and opportunities.
Tammy, that is not true. This is why we have to we must get to know ourselves so that we can overcome that fallen state. Dr. Umar is evil for putting out a lie like that or lies like that because people are going to believe in
let's
it.
refrain from calling people names.
Okay,
Reverend
but
Jesse.
he's not telling the truth.
We have to refrain, Sister Tammy, but at the same time,
He is
I
evil.
think it's important that we understand the difference between the Negro and the coon. Sister Tammy, this is a very important distinction that has to be made. The Negro is innocent in his ignorance, Sister Tammy. As Brother Michael said earlier, some people make mistakes against the race unknowingly. If you make a mistake against the race unknowingly, that was a Negro. Negroes are innocent. They think white people are more intelligent. They think Jesus is black because they haven't been taught any better. But a coon knows better. But the coon voluntarily identifies with his oppressor because there is an agenda that he's looking to get filled. And the sad thing about Jesse Lee Peterson is he is too old to be cooning at this point in his life. And the fact that he claims to be a man of God doing the devil's work makes him a total hypocrite.
But Tammy, you know what I just want to add to that? To hear Dr. Umar and the other man to speak this way.
That's Michael.
Is Michael, sorry. To hear Michael and Dr. Umar speak this way is abnormal for men. Normally men, when I was growing up, they had logical mindset. But today's black man has an illogical mindset because he thinks like a woman. He has not overcome the spirit of the woman and returned to the logical mindset.
There is nothing more effeminate than a white man defending a white power structure against black people. There is nothing more effeminate than a black man defending a white power structure against black people.
Hey, why are you speaking? Hold on.
You are politically effeminate,
to
Jesse
be
Lee
logical
Peterson.
in their mind.
You are politically
and women
effeminate.
are illogical
You are
in their
politically
mindset, right?
effeminate.
Why are you
You
screaming
are
over me?
defending the white power structure
Zane, hold
against
on.
your own people
Hey.
while you claim to be a man of God.
Zane,
You
hold
are
on.
a disgrace to your race, sir. You
Zane,
are
calm
a
down.
disgrace to your race.
And so
on,
normally
Dr.
the
Umar,
men with the
let's
logical
yield for a
mindset
second.
would bring the women and children to a logical mindset to help them to overcome. But now the black men, not all but most, they think like their mothers and grandmothers. So they all think just like women, and that's why you can't get it right.
Culturally, this clash is deeper than just Jesse versus Dr. Umar. It's about two competing visions of manhood in the black community. Jesse is old school. Men lead, take responsibility, stop whining. Dr. Umar is the modern activist, blames systemic racism, demands reparations, defines masculinity as resistance to oppression. Both sides resonate with different audiences, but here's the cultural catch. While they're fighting each other, the system keeps rolling untouched. The Matrix wins when we're stuck choosing which black man archetype we prefer instead of asking why the game is rigged.
So
Because
indicting racism
there's
makes
an
you
order
a woman.
to God, and that order is God in Christ, Christ in man, man over woman, and woman over
I'm not
children.
interested in.
But
I'm not
today's-
interested in a religious
Today's black
interpretation of
woman
racism.
today's black woman is over the men. And
It
the
is a
men
mistake
are the
to
women.
use religion
why
to
they have
interpret
a
political
illo-
phenomena.
That's
We're
why they
going to
have
take a
an
quick break and
illogical
we'll come
Religion
right
mindset.
to
back on the
interpret
Tammy Mack
political
Show on
phenomena.
Fox.
Say that again.
Would you consider them sellouts?
Who?
Steve Harvey and there's another one I'm thinking of. But
I wouldn't consider Steve Harvey a sellout as strictly as I would consider a Shaquille O'Neal, a Charles Barkley, and a Kendrick Perkins sellout. And the reason I'm drawing a distinction is whenever Shaquille O'Neal, Charles Barkley, and Kendrick Perkins open their mouth on issues involving black people, they always take the side of the white power structure. Whereas with Steve Harvey, I have seen some attempts by him to defend the integrity of black people. It's not often. I'm not even going to say it's acceptable, but there is levels to the coon kingdom. There's levels to the coon kingdom. So even though they are all sellouts, you have your grade A coons like Jesse Lee Peterson and Charles Barkley, and then you have your grade B coons, which would be like a Kendrick Perkins and a Shaq, and then you have your grade C coons, which would be like a Steve Harvey. So
you
there's
do put him in the
levels to
coon
the
category.
coon kingdom.
This
Say
guy
again.
sounds like
but
he
you
hates
do
everybody.
put him in the coon kingdom.
I would put Steve Harvey in the coon kingdom, but he wouldn't be grade A like Jesse Lee Peterson and Charles Barkley. And the other thing I wanted to say quickly, Tammy,
Okay.
with Kim Kardashian, that was a perfect example of racism on the part of the white power structure who says, I would rather hear a white woman articulate the issues of incarcerated black females. Now you have hundreds of black women who fight for the liberation of incarcerated sisters every day. I can run off organizations all day long, but instead of meeting with black women who are in the trenches doing the work, we are instead going to let a privileged white woman articulate the issues for black people. And Sister Tammy, that was dangerous that black women supported Kim Kardashian being their mouthpiece, because what it does is it reinforces an old stereotype that black people are not intellectually sound enough to articulate their own issues and that they need a white person to do it. We should never celebrate a white person being selected to represent our issues. It should always be someone who looks like us.
That should be a part of the code.
That should be part of the code.
Reverend Jesse,
Yes.
you're a part of the coon
sounds
kingdom,
like
he says.
That's right.
Sounds like opposite racism.
You just
man.
heard the voice of a beta male. That made no sense of what the doctor said and what Michael said. It's sad to see that most black people believe that they're all the same because of their color. They're not looking at them, their true self. They are a spirit created in the image of God, and they don't know that. They're going by colors, and so they're all in the same pot, headed down to the road to destruction.
Reverend Jesse, I want to ask you.
Donald Trump
Jesse,
was
I
the
wanna
best
ask
thing that
you-
ever happened to Black Americans, because Donald Trump did not see colors. He saw colors, but he wasn't into the color thing. He was into what is right. And that's why he was able to help black people more so than any other president that we have had in the last, I don't know how many years, right? Obama was the worst, by the way, but Donald Trump was the best. I call him the great white hope because he made America great again. Black people went to work. They started buying homes and starting families and things like that because of Donald Trump. But these people like Dr. Umar and Michael, they're into their color. They're in a fallen state. They're weak males, and they cannot see. They can't see that Donald Trump was a man of God. He was a conservative, Christian, straight white man who loved what's right. and he wasn't into the color. That's why Kanye West and other black men and women who met with the president, they respected him because he was not into color. He gave black universities more money than anybody else, and all they did was misuse it. He did more to help the blacks than anyone else. It's time out for black people to stop begging. I'm sick of it. We can make our own way. Black people can make their own way if they get up and do it. That's why we have to overcome this cultural thing, because blacks who are into their culture, they think that all blacks are just like them, begging and blaming and whining and talking about 150 years ago and all that. Why not live now? The blacks didn't do that when I was growing up, especially black men. They need to stop begging for freebies. America is an amazing place, right? And whatever you want to do in this country, you can do it. Tammy, let me tell you this about the black farmers.
So do you think
farmers are getting a huge freebie from the USDA today, right? According to the Washington Post, $5 billion of Biden's stimulus package is going to benefit black farmers, but they still going to be begging. It's not going to satisfy them, because it's not the lack of material things that blacks are having a problem with. It's the lack of moral character.
And here's the red pill moment. Jesse doesn't have to win the debate. Dr. Umar proves his point for him. Every time Umar explodes, rants, and melts down emotionally, he validates Jesse's claim that too many men today think like women. It's brutal irony. Dr. Umar came to expose Jesse, but instead he exposed himself. That's the Matrix trick. They set up debates where emotions drowns logic, and the real battle, character, morality, responsibility, gets lost. So ask yourself, who actually walked away stronger here? The man calmly sticking to his principles, or the one yelling about kingdoms, coons, and conspiracies? Don't get played by the Matrix. They want you emotional, divided, and blind to the real issue. Personal responsibility versus victimhood. Drop a comment. Whose side are you on in this clash? Jesse's cool-headed logic or Dr. Umar's fiery passion? Smash that like, hit subscribe, and stay locked in, because we're exposing the Matrix one debate at a time.